One of the more common concerns that comes up in spiritual direction is manifest in a couple of ways. First, people say, "Father, I'm really struggling with being impatient." Another manifestation is, "Father, I feel like I'm running and running and running and running all the time, and I'm not anywhere close to getting to where I want to be." And it comes back to a basic misunderstanding. People trace both of those feelings to feeling like, well, I just don't have enough time. And I commonly reply to them, I say, well, imagine that you've been pulling a wagon behind you your whole life. And every day, as you're going about your day, doing all the things that you do every day, you're pulling that wagon behind you. And one day you discern that, man, this wagon is getting really, really difficult to tow behind me all the time, and I don't really understand why. And I ask people, when they start to have that feeling of impatience, when they start to have that feeling of not having enough time, to stop and think about, well, what have I added, or what has crept into my life to sort of add to the burden of the things that I'm towing in my wagon behind me? And when was the last time that I stopped and took stock of everything that's in that wagon, or more directly, everything that's in my schedule? Where am I committing my time, my energy, my attention, my passion? And of all of those things, how many of them actually increase my confidence that God really is who he says he is, and I am who he says I am? And so, as we call upon the community in our Stewardship of Time campaign, or perhaps our Stewardship of Faith campaign, and we're asked to make commitments in regard to those stewardship campaigns, if your first reaction is, "Oh no, I just don't have time for this," maybe it's a good time to stop and take stock of everything that has crept into your wagon, that has crept into your schedule, and to begin to discern those commitments, those activities, those habits that, if you're honest with yourself, do not contribute to increasing your confidence that God is who he says he is and you are who he says you are. Maybe I can relieve myself of the feeling of impatience, or the feeling like I'm running around and not getting anywhere, or I just don't have enough time. Maybe I can let some of those things go so that I finally find the time, energy, attention, and passion that I need to apply myself to some new work, some new activity, some new relationship that, in fact, does have the result of purifying my heart and strengthening my faith. I often remind people of the first verse of the 23rd Psalm, which perhaps a more accurate English translation would be, "The Lord is my shepherd, my life lacks nothing," which has always been true. It's true now, and it always will be true. That God has provided you with everything that you need in order to grow in faith in this life, in order to be restored to his communion, to be restored to his intimacy in the life of the world to come. So let us renew in our hearts that in regard to time, the Lord gives us the same 168 hours this week that he gave us a year ago, and 10 years ago, and even all the way back to when we were 4 years old. And I don't remember the last time a 4-year-old came to me and said, "Oh, Father, I'm too busy. I'm not, I feel like I'm lacking in patience." So perhaps it's time for us to reclaim some of that innocence, some of that purity of heart, and recognizing that time, like everything else in our lives, we are given in abundance by our Lord and Savior in order to live the life that he created us to live. And remember, in and through all of these things, God really is who he says he is, you are who he says you are, and so live the life that he calls you to live.